It's the beautiful Acer Shirasawanum Aureum. I've had this Japanese maple 5 years now. 2 years ago it was root pruned and repotted, and after that it took about 2 years to recover. The leaves were a lot smaller and it took a long time to get back to normal. It's the 2nd of May 2020 today, and as you can see it's still early in the season, but these leaves are quite large and the tree's looking very healthy. The first set of leaves at the back there are almost 5 inches in diameter. This is all new growth within the past 4 or 5 weeks. And there's a couple of new procedures that I did which have really helped bring this tree on so quickly, because this was only root pruned and repotted just 2 months ago as well, and it's possibly going to look the best it's ever done for us in 5 years. So the first job was to evaluate the base of the trunk and work out the level where the root flare was. Now this tree was planted about this deep with compost, so I gently pulled away the compost to reveal the first part of the roots, which was here. Now this section here is called the root flare. Now most nurseries will underplant the tree, put too much compost in, which isn't good for them, and it can eventually lead to failure of the tree, if not slow growth, etc. I think this tree's slowly been struggling as well over the years, so this may be one of the reasons, because it was underplanted. So basically you find out where the root flare is, and took a sharp pair of scissors and cut the top part of the root ball, which was just thin, fibrous, thick roots like a baton. I took that out to about this level, so it was a good inch and a half that I took off the top. Then I took the tree was already out of the pot by then. I evaluated the roots on the side of the whole root ball. Some were growing round, which is called girdling. It wasn't too bad, but there was a lot of roots underneath the root ball which were growing into the stones at the bottom. They were several inches long, so they were cut off, and I took a sharp bread knife and I cut an inch almost right away around in a circle of the outer root ball, and a good inch underneath the root ball, and chopped them long roots off. Now the tree was ready to repot by then, so I mixed up some new compost, which was general compost, some John Innes No. 3 and some chip bark. The mix ratio was probably about 70% compost, 20% chip bark and about 10% John Innes. Mix that together, and I also had some rooting powder, mircorrhzial, and I actually give the whole root ball a good sprinkling on the sides and underneath for the rooting powder. I really give it a good powdering, and then I worked out the level of this level here in the pot. So I put enough big gravel in the top bottom there, stones, put about 2 inches of the compost mix in, stood the root ball in, and then gently just literally filled the spaces, firmly patting it down until it got this level there. And then basically it was just a matter of watering the whole lot in, try and get rid of any air bubbles that might have been trapped. And basically the tree was left then, and that was it. It's come on, to my amazement, extremely well since then. And the only two factors since the last root prune 2 years ago was the use of the rooting powder and also exposing the root flare. So the tree just looks so much healthier and has grown so much faster as well. We've studied a lot on root flaying, root pruning in our dedicated Acer Trees Japanese maple group on Facebook over the past year. And this coming year I'm going to continue evaluating the other trees we have with the root flare and correcting those depths. And also I'll never pot another Japanese maple without using the rooting powder as well. I have a couple more trees that have come on well since they were root pruned and repotted at the same time as this one, and the difference is just absolutely amazing how much they've come on. So I'll update you this one in a good few weeks. So that's just a few tips the more experienced and the experts in our group have really been discussing in depth. It really has worked wonders on this tree. So I hope that helps with your future repotting. Alright, you take care now.